there's a need right now in the solar market for a third party to provide rewards for people who have already purchased a solar system for their home per kilowatt hour. And in the defining of that reward amount, we're hoping that we can create an open source decentralized platform that's tokenized with crypto that would define the value of a clean environment to people across the globe. So this is a global endeavor. This isn't a national, look at any particular piece of the renewable sector. This is a global integration to define a global value per kilowatt hour, because that does stretch across the globe, that unit of measurement. There's multiple theories here, and it would be creating multiple actions you can take within a platform to confirm that you do indeed have a system, and then reward you based on how many kilowatt hours you're producing by creating a secondary marketplace where you can list your one-to-one ratios. So we'll get into what one-to-one means. Technically, it makes it so each kilowatt hour you produce would result in you receiving just as much as you spend per kilowatt hour. It would just go to the current retail rate of your utility, even though you're not exposed to it anymore. Do the calculations based on what you're selling back to the grid compared to what the retail rate is. Because a lot of states have passed policy to not pay you the retail rate for electricity anymore. And the utility company arguments are, we have this distribution network and they're only using this amount of that distribution network, so we should only pay them this amount, not the full cost that we incur to maintain the grid. Technically, we want to make every individual that has bought solar already a utility themselves, meaning, they take control of their energy needs. Utility companies have solicited legislatures and utility commissions across the country to slow the spread of solar by, reducing the amount that the utilities have to pay individuals that has bought solar already a utility themselves, meaning, they take control of their energy needs, in addition to other things like limiting system size, rollovers. So you can accumulate credit hours in like a kilowatt credit hour bank, but the utilities pay you less than a penny per kilowatt hour to buy back. But then some states don't allow unlimited rollover. So there's a lot of different dynamics that would result in different break-even amounts per individual. Break even meaning you're receiving a one-to-one rate. So you're filling in that value per kilowatt hour sold back into the grid with our platform. We're able to do that through some financial engineering, and we're trying to define or create or reveal the value of a clean environment to people through their willingness to participate in making people whole at a one-to-one rate. Theory behind this would be we create a secondary marketplace where people can say, I'm receiving this much from the utility company, but the retail rate is here. So there's a 7 cent per kilowatt hour difference there that I want to list for sale on our platform. So it's how many, but it's for the whole month. It can be for the week, the day, the week, the month, the quarter, or the year. So we'll pick a range, and then we'll have a range available for people to buy, so they can do it however long they want to do it. You can do it short and long. So 7 cents, and then on average, you're using 1,000 kilowatt hours a month. That's going to be $70. The purchase of that $70 to fill in that gap to get the one-to-one ratio, that's the initial participation with the system. So as soon as you purchase that value, which is a definition of what we consider value of clean environment, you receive crypto. So you receive some crypto that you can use to interact with the system. and that value of crypto can increase over time. But then also the person that listed that break even receives that amount of money, which they can then convert and pay down their principal on their system and or save for bulk reamortization, however your solar contract works. And in doing so, we can get it to the point where people are set, or the value of each kilowatt hour produced. And in doing so, we can get it to the point where people are set, or the value of each kilowatt hour produced is at parity with the retail rate for how much we pay to use utility grid. And what that would do is create something that is being coined as God parity right now for people, which means you're bringing your total costs down to less than the cost of transmission for the utility, which means you've been able to decrease your marginal cost to the point where generation is already decentralized and pushed out of the business model, really. So now they're really working with load control and grid strength and connections with the grid and smart grid and grid optimization and modernization of the grids. There's a lot of these endeavors that are starting to tax you for grid modernization across the country. So just we should be aware of all the different taxes and fees that appear on our electric bills, which make us more like prone and willing to switch to solar anyway. So then the value of the crypto is defined through the purchase of these break-even listings